The first sign you were chosen wasn't a dream. It wasn't a number you saw on a clock. It wasn't some mystical download from the sky or a vision in the middle of the night. It was a feeling, a knowing, a silent alarm that echoed inside you before you had the words to name it. It happened the moment you looked around and felt it. This isn't right. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. Everyone else seemed content to play the part. But you felt the script was off, like you were living in a story that wasn't yours. And instead of realizing that was the mark, you believed it was a flaw. You believed you were the problem. It started early, long before you had a name for it. You were told you were too much, too emotional, too curious, too intense, too sensitive. But here's the truth. You weren't too anything. You were in tune. You were aware. You were awake. You felt things others couldn't name. You picked up on the energy no one else acknowledged. You sensed the pain behind the smiles, the chaos beneath the calm. And when you asked questions, real questions, the room got quiet. The adults shifted in their seats. They gave you that look, the one that said, "Don't go there. Don't disturb what we've learned to live with." So eventually, you stopped asking. You swallowed your wonder. You learned to pretend. You dimmed your light just to make others comfortable. You tried to be normal, but you knew, deep down, normal was a costume that never fit you right. Not because you lacked anything, but because you carried everything: wisdom, sight, power. And that power, it made people uneasy, not because it was dangerous, but because it couldn't be controlled. They didn't know what to do with a child who could see through the veil, so they tried to silence it, tame it, name it too much, so they wouldn't have to face what you could already feel. But no matter how much you tried to forget, that knowing never left you, and now it's waking up again. That's the first sign. Not the gifts, not the visions, not the synchronicities. The first sign was when you stopped trusting your inner world, because the outer world made you doubt it. You knew things, felt things, saw through things, but every time you tried to speak it aloud, you were told you were imagining it, overreacting, too deep, too much. So you learned to silence the most sacred voice you had, your own. Narrator. That wasn't weakness, that was calibration. You were born, tuned in to a frequency most people forgot how to hear. You absorbed pain that wasn't yours. You sensed lies without evidence. You connected dots no one else could see, but no one told you what that was. So you gave it the only names the world gave you: anxiety, depression, isolation. You thought you were broken, but you weren't breaking. You were being activated. Just when you started to accept normal, the universe cracked it open. Everything you tried to hold together unraveled. The identity you built to survive, it collapsed. The job you thought made you safe, gone. The relationship that defined you, shattered. You weren't just losing things. You were shedding skins that no longer fit. You didn't understand. You asked, "Why is this happening to me?" But here's the truth. It was never happening to you. It was happening for you, for your remembrance. So you would stop looking outside for answers that only lived within. So you would return to the one thing the world tried to take from you. Your knowing, your fire, your frequency. Here's the real test of a chosen one. You don't get soft landings. You don't get clear instructions. You don't even get proof at first. You get friction. You get discomfort that won't go away. You get 1,000 tiny moments whispering, "Wake up." That's the sign. Your soul doesn't let you coast, not because it's punishing you, but because it remembers who you are. So when you lie to yourself, you can't sleep. When you betray your own truth, your body aches. When you ignore the call, life turns up the volume. You tried to numb it. You tried to distract yourself. You even tried to become someone else. But the divine doesn't stop knocking. And your soul doesn't do silence. It uses pressure. That unbearable tension inside you, that's not punishment. That's power asking to be reclaimed. And now, look at you. Still here, still searching, still questioning, still following that quiet golden thread that says, there's more. You're not crazy. You're waking up. You wouldn't be watching this if some part of you didn't already know. You wouldn't be drawn to messages like this if you weren't ready to remember. The sign you missed was you. Your pain, your pattern, your pulse, your refusal to give up, even when you didn't know why you were fighting. You are the evidence, the message, the miracle in motion. You've always been the sign. The first sign you were chosen was that you couldn't forget, even when you wanted to, even when it hurt, because the mission was seeded in you before the world tried to erase it. And now, you're remembering. Not because you're broken, not because you're lost, but because you're ready. If this cracked something open in you, that's not coincidence. It's confirmation. Drop a comment. What was the moment you thought was your downfall, but now you see it was your awakening? Share this with someone still trying to find language for their pain. And subscribe, because the real work starts now.